You're compelled to write a story. Why? So people can read it or watch it? Why? I believe it's because you have something you want to say to people, some wisdom you want to share. Even if you say it's just for entertainment, the most entertaining stories are never just for entertainment. You have a perspective about how to live and you want to share it. Because writing a novel or a memoir or whatever is hard work. So there's something that's driving you, and I'm here to encourage you on. Ideally, your story helps people change in some way. Maybe it helps them believe in love again. Or maybe it shows them they've been chasing after the wrong things. Every story with a character arc is about change. How the character is being pressured to change relates to the external dimension of story, order and chaos. In the last video, we focused on the first half of the story world, the pressures that are applied to the character and the fateful decisions they make to respond to those pressures. In this video, we'll talk about the back half of the story, the challenge of change. The headline is, It Ain't Easy. In the Roseanne Cash example, this is where she, this middle of the story, a successful country singer, realizes that she is not an artist, and this realization shatters her. This is the point where the character chooses to change, or double down on not changing. Since more stories have a main character who chooses to change, a prescriptive story, that's what we'll focus on today. Okay, let's move forward to that back half of the story. At last, the character becomes proactive instead of reactive. They work hard to change things and get what they want. Unfortunately, something really bad happens. The character loses what they valued most, and worst of all, they had a piece of causing it. This is often called the all is lost. Because the character is so devastated, they crawl into a hole and ponder their fate. If you think of a favorite story of yours, whether it's a book or a movie, you know the all is lost. You feel it in your gut. And oftentimes it's raining in the story. Notice how often it rains in this moment afterwards. After the all is lost, this is when the character is wallowing in their hole and they have a realization. And the realization is, hi, it's me. I'm the problem. It's me. Yep, cue Taylor Swift. And yes, I have become a bit of a Swiftie. That's strangely enough. Anyway, this is the key difference between what the protagonist was trying before and what they're trying now. Before they were trying to change things outside themselves, and now they will seek to change themselves first so that they can then effect change externally. There is something about themselves that they must change, and now finally they realize it. To change their world, they must change themselves. So they make a decision. The character decides to finally deal with the problem they've been avoiding since the beginning of the story. And they will show how they have changed, or their commitment to change, through that challenge. But have they really changed? Do we believe them? Are they truly committed? The next story essential is one that I see so many writers miss it completely or mishandle it. And when we do that, we deflate the end of the story. So what is it? A cliffhanger. This seems like a perfect place to say, if this video is useful to you and you want to make sure you don't miss out on future videos, click the subscribe button. What many writers miss or mishandle is the story does not include an ultimate test, a moment of truth when they face their biggest adversary. We need the audience, whether we're reading, watching, we want a showdown, and we want to see our hero, and I use hero to apply to any gender. I think a hero is an archetype, not a gender. We want to see a moment when our hero faces their biggest adversary, and we like to see them triumph, and it hurts when they don't. It can be a huge action movie like Gladiator, or it can be an act that looks small, but is actually huge. For example, The Curious Case of the Dog in the Nighttime. This is one of my favorite little books. So much power in so few pages. The main character is Christopher John Francis Boone. And Boone, because of who he is afraid to venture outside his home. But someone has murdered his neighbor's dog, and Christopher wants to know who killed Wellington. In this story, Christopher's ultimate test is a showdown with his father. We know Christopher has changed after this showdown because we see him do something he never would have done. He bites his father's hand, and in that act, he individuates from his father. And we know Christopher knows he has changed because he says, "I can do anything." Good stories, they make you feel it. So there you have it. These are the 3 most powerful events in the back half of your story. This infusion of energy, this creates narrative drive that keeps your readers reading or viewers binge watching past their bedtime. I call it a book hangover. Next up, we'll pull together all the powerful story events from both the front and the back half. Ta-da! These lightning bolts represent story events that bring a powerful infusion of energy. When we look at it all together, what do you notice? Yes, the lightning bolts are different sizes, and that's not an accident. The size of the bolt reflects the amount of power that story event injects into your story. If it looks unbalanced or incomplete, it is. In the next video, we'll fill in the missing pieces. You can make sure you don't miss it by clicking the subscribe button. And we'll use a simple story as an example to more clearly explain what each of these powerful story events are. The story we're going to use is the story of how the model that we're building was created. I like models, but only if they help people and they're not too complicated. I'm Jule Kucera, the creator of the model we're building. According to a former boss, my superpower is assimilating and simplifying complex information. But what I'll tell you is that after I've done that synthesis and really gotten down to the core of something, I love to then create something that helps other people do something that's critically important to them. And that's why I'm doing this. I struggled with story, and I feel like I've cracked the code at least on this piece of it, at least on how to make a powerful story, how to do that. Let's wrap up with key questions for the back half of the story. Remember, it's all about the challenge of change. First question, what happens to the character in the all is lost? What do they lose? 2, what is the personal flaw that will be tested to prove they have changed and finally make that change and confront the problem they've been avoiding for the whole story? Again, that's for a prescriptive story, not a cautionary tale where they don't change. They just go further down the horrible path. And 3, what challenge does the character face in the ultimate test? And of course, that challenge can't be something random. It needs to relate. That's all for now. Thank you for being here. See you next time. Tally ho.